This lesson is about functions. Our first question is the relation a function? A relation could be a set of points, it could be a table, a mapping, or a graph. Let's start with the graph, and let's look at the vertical line test. The vertical line test says we're going to consider a graph, and you're going to look at vertical lines. Remember, vertical lines go up and down vertically. So a graph is a function if every vertical line that can be drawn, so we're going to say if every vertical line touches the graph exactly once. Now, lots of times I like to say touches the graph at most once because it doesn't have to touch the graph at all, but if it's going to touch the graph, it touches exactly once. So let's look at what this looks like. Here we have our y-axis and our x-axis. And this blue graph right here is going to be our line. And so we're going to use the red to look at vertical lines. Every vertical line I draw touches this graph exactly once, so this is a function. Let's look at our x-axis and y-axis, arrows all the way around. If you look at this graph, when we draw vertical lines, right here, somewhere in here, it touches the graph more than once. Not a function. Right away. If a vertical line touches the graph exactly once everywhere like it does in this first example, it is a function. Over here it touches more than once, it is not a function. So if we look at a couple more examples, let's talk about, here we have our XY axis. We have a circle. It's a beautiful circle, almost. This is not a function. Almost everywhere you touch this graph with the vertical line, it touches twice. Not a function. If it does it anywhere, it is not a function. Now here's an interesting one. This is a piecewise function. Now when we draw vertical lines, in most places, it touches exactly once. So we're good. Right here, it still touches exactly once. This open circle right here in the top means not included, and the closed circle here means included. So it literally only touches the graph once, even in this place. Therefore, this graph is a function. What's interesting is some discrete graphs. That means we have just some dots. So I'm going to be a little lazy here. Let's say we have a dot here and here, 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 here. Now, if I draw vertical lines, they touch the graph only once. It is a function. True? It is a function. Now let's edit this graph. Let's say graph B. So that was A. This one is B. So we have a couple dots going on here. This one is not a function. See the difference? Touches the graph more than once. An interesting graph could be a sideways parabola. We don't talk about those a lot. Not a function. So hopefully now you got the vertical line test. So let's move on to the second way, in a function, every x has exactly one y. Every x value has exactly one y value. Now, that means that if I'm looking at a mapping of domain and range, domain is the x values and range are the y values. So every x gets mapped to exactly one y in a set of points. You'll have x values and y values, x2, y2, etc. Or in a table, you're going to look at the x values and the y values. So every x gets mapped to exactly one y. Let's look at a couple of examples. Let's start with set A. Set A is the point 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, -9. This one is a function. because 2 gets mapped. 2, the x value of 2 has a y value of 3. The x value of 4 has a y value of 5. The x value of 7 has a y value of -9. Hence, no repeated x's. See how all the x values are different? Definitely a function. Set B, let's say we have 3, 5, 3, 7, and 4, -2. Oops. Now this one is not a function. Look at the 3's. The 3 has the point 3, 5, and 3, 7. So this one is not a function. And the reason it's not a function is because we have 3, 5, and 3, 7. Let's talk about this one. This one trips everybody up. It's 1, 4, -2, 4, 8, 4. Is this one a function? Why, certainly. Look at the x values. They're all different. So if you were to graph these points, you would have 1, 4, -2, 4, and 8, 4. See how that passes the vertical line test? So we know it's a function because it passes the vertical line test. That's an easy way to check. It's nice and easy. Let's look at a couple others. Let's look at a mapping. So in a mapping, we have the domain values, which are the x values. They're not going to say x values generally. They're going to say domain, and we're getting into that. And then we have the y values, which are the range. And let's say we have 4, 3, 7, and 5, 2. So 4 gets mapped to 5, 3 gets mapped to 2, 7 gets mapped to 2. This is a function because each x gets mapped to its own different y value. Okay? So let's set up another one. Here we have domain and range. And let's say we have, they don't have to be. Let's say we have blue. They don't have to be numbers. Let's say we have blue, green, and orange. And we're going to map them to red. Is this a function? Yes, because you could literally write this as the point blue, red, green, red. That's what a mapping is. It just it writes it as a map with arrows instead of as points. Orange, red. Sorry, I ran out of space there. But you can see that all of the x values are different. So it is a function. Let's say that we have the domain here of 1 and 2. And our range, let's make it -3, 5, and 7. Is this one a function? It is not, because the 1 gets mapped to the 3 and the 5. So this one is not a function. I wrote that weird. Oh well. Let's look at a table. So when you look at a table, it's about the same thing. Let's say we have the point 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 7, 3, 8. Is this a function? This one is not a function because all the x values are 3. So we have the points 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 7, 3, 8. If we were to look at a graph, they would go right up a dot, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see it happening. I should build it all the way around. All right. But let's consider this one. Let's say -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is this one a function? It is a function. Each x value has its own one y value. So -2 has the y value of 4, -1 has the y value of 5, 0 has the y value of 6, 1 has the y value of 7, and 2 has the y value of 8. So you can see definitely that this is a function. So hopefully you can decide if something is a function or not. Have a great day.